Hi there. What is going on with my hair? You guys, it's me. It's Shannon. It's Sheepless Needles. I swear I didn't fall off the planet. I'm right here. Oh my gosh. Let's get this going. Let's just, get it out of the way here. Sheepless Needles. You guys, this is a vegan podcast that's not technically about being vegan, but it's from a vegan perspective. What does that mean for you newbies? It just means that one, I'm not going to hit you over the head with vegan stuff, but everything on my thing is going to be on my thing, on whatever I'm talking. Everything's vegan. So my yarn is vegan. Like, you don't need to worry about, like, oh my God, that's the coolest yarn on the planet. And oh, it's wool. That won't happen here. My life is a vegan life. So my perspective is a vegan perspective. So I created this podcast. I don't even know how long ago. Who knows? Many a moon ago. Because I needed a place to come and spew out, my mental journal. But it to be a space where you weren't hit over the head with, graphic images, stories that you don't want to hear about in the news regarding animals that just depress you. I needed this to be like a safe space where you weren't going to get attacked by the outside world creeping in on your little fragile heart. And that's this podcast. I am Shannon. You will see throughout many a podcast that I do have currently 3 rabbits. I have 2 cats, one of which is going to try to jump in my lap in a second, so get ready for that. Yeah. So welcome aboard if you're coming back. Listen, guys, I'm here and we're going to talk about it. It's been a while. It's been a while. So where's my glasses? Hang on. Oh, I'm so blind. I couldn't see my glasses that were right in front of me. So today we will be drinking. This is Dayton Beer Company. It is called Roof Juice. And let's read a little bit about it. It's a hazy IPA. And here's what it says. You ready? Let's go. We decided to brew the perfect beer. And there's the cat. I don't know if you're going to be able to see her, but there's her tail. We decided to brew the perfect beer for when we are relaxing at our rooftop bar and wanted something that could be delicious in all 4 seasons. Roof Juice Hazy IPA is packed full of juicy, hoppy goodness and notes of citrus, berries, ripe banana, and tropical fruits. We hope you stop by the brewery sometime and join us on our roof while we take in the sights, sounds, and juicy flavors of our city. Think Dayton, drink Dayton. So, hazy IPA. Oh, what's the ABV on this? It's only 5.5, you guys, so I'm not getting ripped, right? Like, I will make sense and I won't be crying. So, grab yourself a beverage, a V8, a Noon, Liquid Death, tea, whatever. You do you. I got mine. You get yours. Oh, the foam to hear the pouring. Okay. Well, we're going to let that calm down. And this is what happens when I sit near the monitor. I can see myself and then I see myself and I'm like, what is happening with my hair? Okay. Well, I don't know. We're just going to avoid it and ignore it, but it looks like I have a big part over here. I don't know what's happening. Okay. Number 1, natural lighting today. I've got nothing going on. So I'm not even apologizing because one of my biggest pet peeves when I watch like other podcasts, I'm so sorry about my voice. I'm sorry about the lawnmower. I'm not sorry. This is what you're getting. Sorry, not sorry. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's sun out. It's coming in. I'm backlit. I'm like a pip. Right now I'm backlit. That's all I'm saying. Get over yourself. Now, you guys, really at heart, my podcast is supposed to be about me navigating my crafting life and finding time for all my hobbies because I have too many. And Yeah, so I took some time off, and let's talk about my time off and what happened. Listen, I'm okay. My family's okay. Mr. Editor's okay. My friends are okay. But I just had a moment where I need to deal with some stuff, not in front of the world and on my own. And I'm still dealing with my stuff, but I just needed some time. Really, what really kicked this whole bonanza off was last year. I don't even know. I am still waiting for this to come down. Last year in the fall, like late fall, I got COVID, and it was a nightmare. And literally, I think 5 months later, I got COVID again. So that was fun. And I got COVID again, I think, in January. So maybe it was over the summer that I had COVID first. I can't even remember. All I can tell you is I got COVID in January, and it was awful. And as it is for every single person who goes through it, my heart's with you. I hear you. It sucks balls. But so I had a bunch of stuff planned for the spring, and when I got COVID, it kind of pushed things back a little bit, which isn't a big deal. You know, you regroup. I'm fine, and I thought I was fine, and then I got really sick again. So we're gonna unpack that and kind of talk about what happened. But I need some of this beer because I'm parched because I'm not used to talking. Imagine that. I wish you could see the cat. Oh my God. Refreshment. Nectar of the gods. Okay, so a lot has happened. Now, I have a day job, you guys. I don't talk about it because it bears no consequence on my crafting life. And quite frankly, I like a job that I can leave as a job and then not deal with my job when I'm not jobbing. You know what I'm saying? So everything was fine. Now, I also should point out that my job is kind of is a family business on my husband's side. And I say that it's a large business. There are 5 satellite offices across 3 states. Um, it's a distribution business, and that's all I'm going to get into. So anyway, we knew something was brewing in the company quite some time ago, just because decisions that were not being made you think, wow, why wouldn't you care about this? If you're selling the business, you probably don't care. And lo and behold, this mop is driving me crazy. Lo and behold, they did sell the business. There were 3 owners, and they sold to another company who I'm not even mentioning names here. So on, I think it was May 1st or April 30th, last day of April, I don't know, we were advised Friday morning on on a video call that they had sold, and the hijinks ensued from there. And let me just tell you the humorous aspect of this whole thing. When you and your spouse work for the same company and something happens to that company, the fear of having no income is real because there wasn't one of us we could fall back on because same person signs both of our paychecks. So I work remotely. Steve kind of works remotely. He works remotely. So we're at our dining room table. We're set up for this conference call. And literally this is what happens. One of the owners gets on the call, is like, good morning. We can barely hear him. So he's like, good morning. We couldn't hear him. And then he just says, okay, so as of April, whatever the date was, our company name, insert name, has been acquired by insert name. And then the feed dropped. That was it. It was like, we've been bought out, mic drop. Now, in context, they're in the main office giving this webinar, and most of the people who work for the company are in that office. So they're in front of people talking about what's going on. everybody at the remote offices is remoting in. So anybody who remoted in got the mic drop, but there's a room full of people who continue having a conversation, not realizing that the feed dropped. So we had, I think, a 5 to 8 minute span from the announcement where it was just black screen of death. And I'm just looking across the table going, did you know about this? So finally, when we get the camera situated back in the office and they're doing the announcement, everything that they needed to cover, they kind of covered in the time that we were down. So it was like this rehash that wasn't exactly a good rehash. So the people in person got information that the people remoting in did not get at all. That was fairly important information after the fact. So this happens on like the tail end of April on a Friday. And then they're like, okay, you need to be available on Monday for this other meeting. And I was like, well, I'm not going through that again. So we drove down to the other office to be in person because I was like, I'm trying not to use profanity, you guys. That was a crap shoot show. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. It was in the toilet, right? So I was like, we're going to avoid that and we're going to go down for the benefits meeting. So we drive down for the benefits meeting. It goes fine. There is one thing I will talk about from the benefits meeting that bears on my crafting, which we'll get into. But so that happens. We go to the meeting, we come back home. That's on a Monday. By Wednesday, I was out. I had a fever. I had a cough. Mind you, this is May 1st. It is now May 28th. This is the first day where I don't have the cough. It was crazy. I was crazy sick. And what sucked is because we are now acquired by a brand new company, I certainly wasn't going to have my first week of me being, I'm sick. So I worked through it for the entire month of being sick. So pat on my back. No, I'm not patting myself on my back. That's stupid. But what I'm saying is I just didn't think it was the right foot to put forward when you're bought out and you're meeting the new company and you're like, and I'm sick. Peace out. Like I wasn't going to do that. So the first month or the first 28 days, I will say this past week, I felt much better. But the first 3 weeks, when I tell you I felt like hell on earth, it was awful. And it did not help that we had the stress in the first week or so of not really understanding if my job position was still there, not really understanding if Mr. Editor's job was still there. So I was sick and I was stressed and so you can see where this is going. I did my body no favor because of the stress that I was in. I just couldn't heal. I couldn't get better. I wasn't sleeping. Dudes, it was kind of a nightmare. And I didn't think you'd want to see me during that or hear me because there is nothing worse. And I think I've said this before. For me, when someone is really sick and audibly they're congested to the point where it makes your eyes water, I don't want to do that to another person. And that is how I have sounded. And I'm sure I'm still probably sounding a little nasally. Good Lord, it was bad. And the weird thing is I did take a COVID test. It was negative, thank God, because if I got COVID that quickly after no way. So I did a doctor on demand thing because that was the other thing. My benefits were in limbo and I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? So I did a doctor on demand. They're like, yeah, it's just a really bad cold. I was like, okay, I can't, my cough. And she was like, yeah, it's been the people I've talked to, it's about 3 to 4 weeks before you really start feeling better. I was like, that's not a cold. That's not a cold. Is it a cold? I don't think it's a cold, you guys. So anyway, I just took the month off and I took a ton of time off at the beginning of the year too, because I was sick then. So my podcasting has been spotty. I am not going to apologize. I don't think you guys really care as long as I'm okay, right? I don't think you want to sit down and watch me bitch to high hell about everything that's going wrong, right? Nobody needs that. I don't want to do that. If I needed to do that, I would do that, and maybe I'd make a private video. But look, that's not where we're at. So moral of the story is I feel better. I do have a job. Mr. Editor has a job. I think we're okay. Our benefits are actually much better. And I'm liking the new company. So what I'm not liking is whatever this friggin' hairstyle is. Okay. All right. So let's talk about crafting, because a crafting moment came out of the benefits meeting where I got sick. And by the way, nobody from my work watches my podcast, but whoever you are that works for the same company that I work for, who walked into that conference room knowing they were sick, knowing they were a germ bomb, because you took me out. Anyway, I'm not naming names, but I think I know who you are. So we're on the benefits call, and my brother-in-law, Jason, who I will name because he's a cutie patootie, is newly married, well, not newly married, but married for, it doesn't matter. Okay, so they're like, do you have any questions about your benefits? And so Jason is in another state, so he's remoting in. And so we have this like hub at the center of the table, and you just hear him go, hi, yeah, this is Jason. And I'm just wondering, like, so will my baby be covered? Ba-da-da-da-da. And I stopped. I was like, what? I found out that he and his beautiful wife, Jessica, are pregnant on this conference call. That's how I found out. I don't have anything ready to go, and now there's a baby shower. So here's what happens. I found out on May 1st that they're expecting. And then I get sick, and I'm like, I somehow am going to need to figure this out. And I don't know if you're like me, but if I'm knitting for myself and I'm sick, I don't care. But if I'm knitting for someone else, I have this weird thing in my head that even if I wash and block something, that germ bomb is living on, right? So I really didn't want to knit a lot after I found out, because I was like, I am not going to be the person that takes out the baby with this cold, right? So needless to say, I find out that Jason is expecting, I get sick, and life. So let's just talk about what we're working on here. The baby shower is on June 10th, so I've got some time, but I'll have to check Craftsy, and I'll have Mr. Editor right here. Please put the date that I cast this wonderful project on, because I can't remember when I cast it on. And of course, I'm in the middle of a friggin' row. And why did I stop in the middle of the row? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But this time I had to stop because my mom called. So anyway, now I'm super worried that this is going to come off the needles, but that's okay. I thought, okay, I literally have less than a month to get something done for this baby shower. I, at that point, didn't know gender, and I don't know that I don't think that they're a gender-specific couple, meaning that I don't think they would be like, it's a girl, pink, it's a boy, blue. Like, they don't strike me as that type of couple. I'm going to hope I'm right in that, because I am knitting them, hi Maggie, I am knitting them Stephen West's Vertices Unite baby blanket. I will have Mr. Editor put a photo up. Woo! Listen, it's an asymmetrical baby blanket. This thing is not like, if you're expecting like, oh, a traditional gifted blanket, this is not that. It's just not. Will that go over well? I don't know. We're going to find out. I'm going to hope that I pegged them correctly, but sometimes I'm not a great judge of character. You heard it here first. So, all right. Here's where we're at. This is not easy to show you guys. Can you see what I'm doing? All right, so this is section 1. No. Okay, what was section 2, Shannon? I don't know. Okay, oh, we got a cat involved. We can't do that. All right, listen. I will put a photo up. I am using, oh my gosh, you guys, if you've been here before, you know exactly what yarn I'm using because this is a baby blanket. It's going to get puked and pooped on. It needs to be washed and it needs to be able to go in the dryer. I am using my Standby Acrylic Premier Basic Anti-Pilling DK. I have 5 colorways. I've got a teal, a green, a yellow, a purple, and kind of like a dove gray. I feel like these colors are pretty neutral. I can show you 4 of them that are not connected to the project. So, all right, this is color A. This is called Grapevine. This is color B, which is, I think it's actually called Dove. And then, okay, let me see if I can grab C without screwing stuff up. This is C. It is Treetop. Maggie, please let go of my yarn. And then this is just called Yellow, you guys, because it's yellow. And then this is the 5th color, which is Teal. You might recognize this color, and we'll get into that in a second as well. Okay, so those are the 5 colors I chose. I feel like, I don't think they're gender-specific colors. I don't believe in that. I think that's the weirdest thing ever, that you tie a color to a gender. It's just stupid. Color is color. It's everywhere. It's in the world. Why does it have to have a gender? And you people with your gender reveal parties, I know if you watch my podcast, you're not one of those weirdos who does those stupid frigging whatever balloon releases that kill birds. PSA. Listen, I know you're not one of those people, but if you have one of those people in your lives who are like, oh, we're going to do this great gender reveal where it's fireworks near the woods by the park. Knock some friggin' sense in those people's heads. So I am on, when you look at the blanket picture, there are 8 sections and then there's an I-cord border. I am on section 7. Section 7, I think, is one of the larger sections. And then section 8 is like it's not small. I think I will have this done by next weekend. I'll be done a week early. That's what we're shooting for, so that I have time to wash it, make sure it launders okay. Really, at the end of the day, the thing that takes the longest, with all Mr. West's patterns that I love, his bind off is always the bind off is a statement about life. And in this case, it's a 3-stitch I-cord bind off, which isn't that bad, but it just runs the border. It is one of those things, though, for me. Sound off in the comments if how you feel about this. First of all, I love an I-cord. I love it for a neckline. I love it. I love it for a bind off. I love it that you can hide your ends and like weaving ends, and it's a real easy way to do that. However, when I sit down to do that bind off, because the nature of the bind off is you're just working with 3 stitches on one needle and you're just moving, those, like, my fear is once I start, like, those things can fly off because you've got heavy weight on your one needle and like are going on your one needle. I just kind of feel like because you're whittling down on one needle, so you just have those 3 stitches, I have a tendency they fly off. Like, I'll turn and they'll be like, whoop! I'll be like, God bless America. And you have to go find and pick up those 3 exact stitches. I have found with I-cord bind offs, I like to prepare myself. I go to the bathroom before I sit down. I have 2 beverages, 1 alcoholic, 1 not. I usually have a blanket for my cat. I have my iPad fully charged or plugged into the wall, and I don't get up. It is rare that I will needle stop, like put a stopper on my needle in the middle of an I-cord bind off. Has it happened before? Maybe. I just get in this groove where I'm like, oh, I can get this done. It's just 1 more section. 8 hours later. It's not really going to be 8 hours, but I will say the last time I knit this blanket, I think the bind off took me 2.5 hours. We'll see, because I have knit this before. Now, I will say when I knit it before, I did not enjoy the yarn I used. And that yarn was also Premier. Worst acrylic ever, next to Lion Brand's. I should not be pooping on another yarn company, but Skein Tones acrylic. I love the colorways, but the feel of that acrylic is... Okay, so the last Vertices Unite blanket that I knit, I used Eversoft, which is Premier. You guys, I don't know why that's such a popular yarn, because it feels atrocious and it crinkles and it makes that weird sound in your ear. So anyway, Premier, but the Premier that I like. So anyway, maybe the bind off took me that long last time because I hated the yarn. I don't know. I don't know. So the bind off's going to be in the purple though, which was my favorite color out of the bunch. So, well, I like all colors really. They're all my favorites. It's like picking a favorite cat. You just can't. So, baby blanket kind of took center stage once I was able to knit. There has been so much happening because I don't know, like if you're new, I injured my thumb. And in January, I went to an orthopedic person and I basically have a ganglion cyst on top of my joint. And then I have bone spurs. I don't need to do anything about it. It's not surgical at this point, but my thumb was really swollen and it's better, but you guys, it's still, oh no, it's not. I just have one big thumb and that's okay. I can give a really good thumbs up. So I had an issue where I wasn't able to knit because of my thumb. And then once my thumb got better, I got sick again. And then like just cavalcade. So I feel like my knitting hobby has taken a huge hit because of my health. We are going to hope we're over that hump. We are going to hope that I am better. Here's the good news. And this is why I'm like, the universe does love me. The universe is biased when we know it's not. But I tell myself this. So we had lots of concert tickets lined up for the spring. One got canceled already, two things got canceled. I am so heartbroken about Dead Can Dance being canceled. I think I've gone through three series of buying front section tickets for Dead Can Dance, and all three times it was canceled. And my husband has never seen Dead Can Dance. I have seen them once in Chicago. It was incredible. I feel very lucky that I was able to see them at all. I have a feeling that they're not going to come back. Okay, so then I bought tickets to Skinny Puppy, and I bought them on pre-sale before they went for the public because my bestest friend in the world was like, dude, Skinny Puppy's coming. We got to get tickets. I was like, okay. And she was traveling to New Orleans, I think, at the time. So I was like, I'll get the tickets. You don't worry about it. And we'll get them. And this was like a while ago. So Skinny Puppy, oh, I'm wearing the shirt, Skinny Puppy, was at Bogart's in Cincinnati. And I can't even remember the date, but it was April 28th, maybe? Okay, wait. It was April 28th. It was the day I found out that my company got sold. It was a day. It was a day. So here's the deal, though. I was able to go to Skinny Puppy, wasn't sick at all, had a blast, and I'll talk about that in a bit. The other concert I had was Sunny Day Real Estate, which was the week prior to Skinny Puppy. And that I bought, I think, like 3 days before the show because I didn't even realize they were playing. And I was not like back in the day when Sunny Day Real Estate was a huge thing for like younger folk. I can't say that I was a huge fan. I knew who they were. And then they came out with their third album, which I guess people don't like as much as they liked the first two. I loved it. So when I saw that, I was like, there's 2 songs I want to hear live. And I heard them both and it was wonderful. But the universe was shining down on me because A, my thumb was fine, and I got to go to both shows, and I wasn't sick. Think about that. My damn ass has been sick all year, and the 2 times I didn't want to be sick, I wasn't. So that was good. That was good. And then Mr. Editor, unfortunately, had bought tickets for a band called Tiger Cub, and they canceled. And that was going to be at the Madison Theater in Covington. And he's super bummed out about that. As you would be. So, why was I don't even know okay, I'm off the rails already, and that's okay. So let's go back. Let's rewind. Let's talk about this yarn. Okay, so this is color 5 in my Vertices Unite shawl, and if you look really closely, you'll be like, wow, that's a super familiar color, Shannon, but I don't know why. Well, kind viewer, you're probably like, hey, you probably finished your Dustland sweater by now. You're funny. I haven't finished it. Listen, I just told you a whole bunch of life happened. I didn't finish it, but let me show you where I'm at. Hang on, I haven't even gotten out of the bag. This is how bad this is. We got stuff going on, and I think, uh-oh. I had another tube of these in this bag in the car, and I had my husband bring it in, and the second tube is gone. All right, I'm going to freak out about that in a little bit. Okay. I have no idea what's attached and what's not attached, so I think it's all attached. Oh, wait, that's not attached. Why is that? Is that attached? Why is that attached? Oh, my God. You guys, it's been so long. All right. I don't even know where the collar is. Okay. You guys. So, all right. Listen. Look, one sleeve is done. There's a cat trying to attack this. Okay, so this sleeve is actually done. I just need to start the cuff, okay? And then I'm on the hem, but I haven't finished that either. So what I was doing, please don't attack my knitting. My cat is like, okay, so once I hit the second arm, I was like, I will do one section, like one pattern repeat, and then I will do 1 or 2 rounds on the hem. And my theory was by the time I got down to the bottom of the sleeve for the cuff, I would be done with the hem. Well, apparently I don't math at all, because mathematically there were only 8 sections and that would only be 8 rounds, and I need like 6 inches of hem. Math was not my strong suit in this moment. But so basically I was like, okay, let me just let me work on the hem for a little bit. The cuff obviously is much quicker because it's much smaller. And when you've been working on the arm and the arm is flying by because it's smaller, and then you have to go back to the body and it's like the longest trip around the sun. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was slow going, and then I got sick, and then I found out that Jason's having the baby, and I was like, okay, that's my excuse not to work on the Dustland sweater, and I need to kick it on high gear on the baby blanket. What I didn't realize is I was like, when I was online buying the baby blanket, I had some of it in stash, but some of it I didn't. I saw this color. I was like, oh my God, I really like that color. I can't believe I haven't knit with it before. Did I realize really quickly that I had? No. When it came in, I was like, God, here. Oh God. Yeah, this is the moment. This is the moment where you're like, you're really not in your head. So when I got the order from Premier, I ordered other yarn with it because my plan is to do a Fantastitch blanket as more of a like gift blanket, not like a puke blanket for the baby. Right? Needless to say, I ordered a bunch of yarn. So as I'm unpacking the yarn, I had a sheet of paper where I had put down, okay, you ordered this yarn for this project. And why did I do that? You guys, let me just tell you something. If you are anything like me, and I'm trying to be better about purchasing yarn, but just in general, even if you're talking about purchasing from your own stash, right? I will forget why I set aside certain yarn. So like if I go down to my stash right now, I have certain yarns grouped together in bins Some of them are labeled, some of them aren't. And you can tell timeline wise, as I got a little bit more into my knitting craft, I would label, or I would even print the pattern and put it in the bin with the said yarn. Well, I learned very quickly when I do an order with Premier, I usually do a fairly substantial order where it's probably 4 to 5 projects worth of yarn. For me, that's a lot. For other people, probably not so much. But in the past, when I've done that, I've never written down, okay, this yarn goes here. And then when I get it, I'm like, shit, what was this yarn for? I finally learned my lesson, having a piece of paper, and I have the projects written down, and I wrote down the colorways because it's all anti-pilling and it's all DK, which is a first for me. Normally, I'm all over the place with yarn weights when I order big orders, but this one, everything was DK. So I get to this yarn, and I'm like, did I order for my Dustland sweater and I don't even remember that I needed more yarn? Because it hit me the minute I picked it up. I was like, oh, this is the cuff for my sweater. I don't know why it didn't dawn on me that I already had this in my stash, but it wasn't in my stash because rewind and repeat, you guys, because I'm a moron. I don't know if you're going to remember this, but eons ago, I had been knitting my Painting Honeycomb sweater, which is raven in the body, which is like a gray black yarn. And I ran out and I was like, oh, shiitake mushrooms, I'm going to go order yarn. I can't believe I thought I budgeted this project really well. So I go and order the yarn, and then I kid you not, later, like, I don't even know time-wise, like there's a podcast about this, so I'm sure we could go back and look, but who wants to do that? Anyway, I'm in the basement doing something, and I cock my head to the side, and I find the yarn for the sweater that I had all along. I literally moved it from my stash to a place where I thought I would see it, which was next to the toilet paper box, because everybody needs toilet paper. Well, my dumbass didn't see it, and I reordered yarn for that sweater. You guys, the Dustland sweater yarn was in that pile still. So I don't know what the hell I was thinking. So it doesn't matter. Needless to say, I had plenty of this yarn. Didn't need to order it for the baby blanket. I had plenty in the other, whatever. So it's a color I like, and I will use it over and over again, but apparently I will not be finishing my sweater anytime soon. Moral of the story, cheers. So what did I learn about myself is I have grown as a crafter because I am writing my projects down. I'm writing what yarn goes with it so that I keep myself organized. I've grown in that way. Where have I not grown? I still have yarn on the opposite side of the basement from my stash, and I need to fix that. So I am going to fix that because we were getting our outdoor furniture ready for the season this past weekend. The garage is Steve's little baby. I'm not allowed to comment on the state of it, but I will just comment to you guys and not to him that it was really gross. And the cushions for my outdoor furniture were in said garage, and one of them had little bugs all over it. And it freaked me out. So I cleaned everything. Everything's fine. But then I was on like bug alert, right? So I'm in the basement. What day is it? It's Sunday. I took Friday off. So yeah. So yesterday I was in the basement and I saw a moth. I have never seen a moth in our basement in the, 20 years we've had this house. And I flipped out. Now, is it an anomaly? I don't know, but my yarn is not going to live down there if I found a moth anywhere. And it wasn't near my yarn, by the way, but I don't care. So the yarn being separated is going away, and I'm bringing the yarn up here until I know that there are no moths down in our basement. Now, a lot of you people out there are going to be like, well, moths only go after natural fibers like the lanolin and blah, 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 blah. Not necessarily true. They do like a cotton. So do they like acrylic? Not that I'm aware of. If they do, they don't eat it. So you're just dealing with grossness. I have, knock on wood, I have never dealt with any type of bug infestation with yarn. I have read horror stories. If you have a horror story, you feel free to share that. I mean, I've heard from people who have yarn, they've ordered yarn from people like in Florida or other areas that have like carpet beetles, I guess is what they're called. I don't even know what those are. And they've gotten yarn that's got larvae in it. Now, there is a great podcast. I will leave it in the show notes because I might butcher the name. Barbara Knits. She's actually in Florida. She's actually in Sarasota. And she says that freezing your yarn is the way that you solve that problem. So that if you order yarn and it is from questionable circumstance, like you don't really know how it was housed, like if it's like a hand dyer, she says to freeze it. And I guess you freeze it, you take it out, and then you freeze it again. And I might be wrong on that. You put it in the show notes if you know anything, or the comments if you know anything about this. But apparently freezing, thawing, and freezing kills the eggs if there are any. I'm just like, if it was me, like whether I froze the yarn or not, if I found remnants of eggs, because I'm assuming if you freeze it, you're still going to see them, right? They may be dead. I'm not using that yarn. Are you? Maybe I'd wash the yarn and I don't know. I have never had this problem. Not like, again, knock on wood, because if I did, I would flip out. So I'm going to bring all my yarn. I think what I'm going to do is my yarn that is hand dyed or hand spun, I'm going to properly stow. I will stow it where I know my circumstance is safe. Acrylic, I'm not nearly as concerned with. Like I said, I do not think people have problems with acrylic yarn and moss. I'll still protect it, but I'm not, I guess I shouldn't separate it out. It really I need to reorganize my stash of my yarn. That was the long way of telling you that that's going to happen. So I have 2 projects I'm knitting on, my baby blanket and my sweater. I think I will have the baby blanket done by next weekend, and I will have the sweater done by the next time I podcast. So 2 projects done. I call that a win. Yeah, because life's been crazy. So what are you knitting on? Leave it in the comments. How are you feeling about going into spring into summer? Do you slow down on your knitting? Do you like... I think for me, because there's so much to do outside and I work remotely in my house, that once the weather gets nice, I just kind of want to be outside doing stuff. And by doing stuff, I mean like hiking, biking, and that kind of stuff, not so much sitting and knitting. So my knitting does slow down. But it also just depends weather, what it's like. Because last summer we had a really weird, humid summer where it just was not comfortable to sit outside. So knitting was a great pastime in the evening because I was inside in the air conditioning. So I don't really know what my crafting, like my knitting life is going to look like. And I guess my podcasting will vary depending on what I'm working on. All of that to say, I guess I don't really know what my podcasting schedule is going to look like this summer, which, I mean, like, I think that's normal. We never know what we're going to do when it gets nice outside. You just want to go out and play. So we'll see what that brings. There's lots of exciting stuff coming up that I cannot wait for hobby-wise. In the gaming world, you guys, Tislin Hive Hoarder is a level 4 ranger now. She made it to level 4. I bought her a dice set. Hold on. Okay, you guys, I bought her a dice set. Check this out. This is a partnership between Dispel Dice and Wyrmwood Gaming. I'll leave it in the show notes like I always do. I don't know how well these are going to show up on camera, but I will show you as best as I can. That's the D20. It's called Foliage. Let me see if I can grab one that might... Can you see a little bit better there? They're really pretty. But these are Tislin's dice. Now, if she dies next session, I'm going to be really mad. Anyway, so D&D is going really well. I really love that D&D group. Again, I don't know if I've talked about it recently, but it's an all-women's D&D group. I love it. It's going phenomenally well. I love the people. It's just great. So I've got that going on. Gaming wise, there's also a lot of games coming out, you guys, and I'm overwhelmed because I don't know how I'm going to fit everything in. And again, it's the quandary of this podcast is how to balance my time with my hobbies, because I've got knitting, then I've got my D&D, but then you guys, Diablo 4 is coming out. ESO has an update coming out. Baldur's Gate is coming out. It's a lot of stuff I want to play. A lot of. And I have to work. So I don't know how I'm going to budget my time. I have yet to figure that out. Now, the good news is when it's really hot outside and I don't want to be out like doing stuff, it's great to come inside and knit because I can, go sit down in a cool area and knit. If I don't feel like knitting and it's hot outside, there's going to be gaming that I can do. The only issue I really have is in terms of like during the week, and I don't know if you guys are like this, but I work Monday through Friday. So I don't like playing computer games or just games in general right before I go to bed, because my brain is on high alert from especially like something like Elden Ring where you're dying every 5 seconds. It's like your cortisol is like through the roof. And it's just hard to go to sleep for me. I have trouble with that. Knitting is a much better pastime for me, like closer to bed. And a lot of times what'll happen, I think I've talked about this before, I will fall asleep while I'm knitting, and that just cracks me up because I'll do one of those, like where you're like, boom, right? So I love that. And obviously reading's also another thing that's great to do. So the problem that I have with all the games that are coming out, it's like, when am I going to play them? Because if I work 9 to 5, which I do, it's like, I'm not gaming right when I'm done with work and I want to spend time with Steve and go out and eat dinner, do whatever we're going to do. And then, my old ass is in bed by 9, hopefully. So I don't know when I'm going to fit it in. It's going to have to be weekends. I don't know. And then that turns into that weird thing where it's sunny outside and I should be outside, not in front of my computer. You know what I'm saying? What is a gamer to do? How do we handle this? How do we balance our projects and our games? Oy, I don't know. We're going to figure it out together, though, you guys. We're going to figure this out all together. We're going to share in the joy of all of it because there's life to be had. Let's go and grab it by the you-know-whats. Let's do this. That was a really loud clap. Sorry. Okay, I think that's it, guys. I'm back. Look out. Because, they normally say the bitch is back. Well, I am back. I'm here. Deal with it, mother truckers. Hey, thanks for hanging out. I'm glad I feel better because I didn't like being sick. So there's that. So I'm glad to be back with you guys. Chill out, hang out, work on something you want to work on, have fun, you know the drill. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves so you can take work. What? What did you say, Shannon? Well, let me repeat. Please take care of yourselves so you can take care of one another. It's a simple thing. Gotta love yourself. Love one another, Spread some joy. Make someone smile. Help somebody. I don't know. Be a nice person. You're obviously a nice person if you're watching this podcast. So, continue being you and celebrate you. I'm glad you're here. I'll see you soon, okay? All right. Everybody, don't get sick. Okay. Toodles!